A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a beta for one of the most highly anticipated Star Wars video games was released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. But was the Force strong with this beta? How should I know? I'm just some random knucklehead on the internet. Hey, hi, how you doing? And may the Force be with you. This is the Gamertron. Welcome back to the Gamertron Show, and welcome to my Star Wars Battlefront beta overview, review, thingy. It's a thing. This video is a thing, let's get to it. So the Star Wars Battlefront beta came out. I've played a few hours of it, tried out all the game modes, played on all the maps, got to the max rank in the beta, tried and tested just about everything available in the beta, and this is what I think so far, just of the beta. Not of the full game of Star Wars Battlefront. I will be doing a full-fledged video game review of Star Wars Battlefront sometime after it comes out. I did a review on Star Wars Battlefront 2, and anyone who knows anything about me, you know the Star Wars Battlefront series is an important part of my childhood, of my life. So it is something I am very passionate in talking about. However, the full review of Star Wars Battlefront will come when it comes. How did this beta fare? Well, it had its ups and it had its downs. Let's start off with the positives. This beta, and hopefully the final product of Star Wars Battlefront, seems to have an extensive amount of settings and customization of said settings. I'm talking audio, I'm talking graphics, I'm talking controls. Star Wars Battlefront, at least the beta so far, is not lacking in terms of options and customization of the options. From people who love tweaking their graphic settings, seeing what the game looks like on low settings than on ultra, for people who like their own custom controls when it comes to the keyboard and mouse or the controller, to people who want their own preferred style of audio, whether it be stereo, surround sound, or headphones. The game is pretty hefty in options and settings, and that is very, very well appreciated. There are so many games out there that don't bother with that stuff or barely put any in, so it is much appreciated. Now, the actual visuals and the audio. Words cannot describe how much of a visual and audio treat this game was. This beta, at the very least. The textures, the lighting, the particle effects, the music, the sound effects. Perfect. There's no other way I can put it. The visuals and the audio in this beta, and most likely in the full retail game of Star Wars Battlefront, are perfect. The visuals are perfect. They are beautiful. I can't point out a single flaw with them. They are flawless visuals. Same to go with the audio. Now, there are some people who have claimed to have experienced audio issues, such as the audio going out or skips, or missing sound effects and such. I didn't experience that, but other people did, so I might as well let you guys know about that people did experience that. But I myself personally, with my experience of the beta, I didn't experience any of that. The audio was flawless on my end. Just the way the crisp visual beauty of this game and the Star Wars aesthetics and the Star Wars music and sound effects, the way it all blends together creates this immersive, exciting feeling of epicness and awe. Even when I was derping and failing miserably in multiplayer matches, I was still being swept up in the beautiful visuals and the amazing music, and it kept me engaged even though I was doomed to lose the match. So once again, the graphics, the visuals, the audio, the music, the sound effects, top notch, top quality, could not find a flaw. Now, this being a video game, of course, what is most important is the gameplay. So, how was the gameplay presented in this beta for Star Wars Battlefront? Well, I'll tell you this much. This certainly isn't Battlefield, as the developers of this new Star Wars Battlefront are the same developers that have been making the Battlefield games for years now. DICE. And DICE is doing something different with Battlefront. It doesn't entirely feel like Battlefield, and it doesn't entirely feel like the old Battlefronts. It seems like they're doing something a bit their own while taking cues from both games. But what I must say right off the bat is that the gunplay, the movement, is just smooth. It's so damn smooth, buttery smooth. Not a morsel of clunkiness to be found. The sensitivity when looking around, shooting your gun, running, jumping, aiming, just the gameplay, the movement, the gunplay, it's smooth. It is so damn smooth and responsive and fluid. There is not one point in the game where I felt like I didn't have complete control of my character, or that I was fighting with my character or the controls. Star Wars Battlefront, or at least the beta so far, has some of the most smooth gameplay I have ever experienced. I mean, god damn, I just can't get over how smooth it is. Now, you've got your standard first-person shooter and movement mechanics within said gameplay. You can shoot, instead of aiming down sights, you zoom in. You can jump a decent height, but not as high and not as low as some other games. You can sprint infinitely, always appreciated, and that's actually a step up and improvement from the older Battlefront games. As before, you had a stamina bar and only a limited amount of time to sprint, so the new unlimited sprint is appreciated. Now, how does the gunplay actually handle? How does it feel? Well, like I've stated already, it's very smooth. The movement, the aiming, very smooth, very responsive. However, using the different weapons, the different blasters, because in the beta, we got access to 2 blaster rifles, a blaster pistol, and a heavy blaster, basically an LMG, all felt meaty and flashy and fun to use. I absolutely adored when you shot enemies and sparks just flew out of them, just like in the movies. And with the stellar visuals of this game, I don't know, just something about shooting stormtroopers with lasers, watching sparks fly off their armor and them just topple over. There's something so satisfying about that. Now, there were a few mechanics and features that were unique to this Star Wars Battlefront. It looks like that DICE is going for a more arcadey style of shooter, as there are pickups and power-ups just littered all over the different maps that give you special unique items or charge up one of your special abilities, which is actually really arcadey and old school, where there's pickups all over the map and power-ups all over the map. That just, I don't know, there's something endearing about that. I like how it's different. It's similar, yet different. Or maybe just because the whole power-up and pickups mechanic and feature is such an old-school mechanic and feature, it's a surprise, and it's kind of refreshing to see it in a big AAA game like this. One thing really of note, and I am so happy they brought this back. I was so afraid this was going to be a first-person shooter only. Third person, instantaneously switch from first person to third person with the press of a button. It looks great and it feels great. So glad that's back. Now, I got to try out and play with just about all the vehicles available in the beta. We're talking X-Wings, A-Wings, TIE Fighters, Snowspeeders, AT-STs, AT-ATs. And I have to say, the flying controls for the spaceships, for the air vehicles, was once again very smooth, very responsive, and I really like how they controlled, at least on PC. I haven't played it with a controller. I know other people have tried to control the air vehicles with a controller and have reported it not being all too fun or responsive. I, however, have only played with keyboard and mouse, and I must say the keyboard and mouse setup, the controls for the air vehicles, felt very nice, for me at least. I had fun. I felt like I was in control of the vehicle, and I was given a few options in how to control them. You can control the speed of the vehicle. Pressing forward or back allowed me to actually control the flight speed of my TIE Fighter, X-Wing, A-Wing, which I thought was really nice, really cool. Now, you're always moving forward, you can't stop completely in the air, and you're using the mouse to look around, aim, and pick your direction. Almost Halo-esque style of controls, for vehicles at least, and I liked it. I enjoyed the vehicle combat, at least the air vehicles. What am I saying at least? I enjoyed all the vehicle combat, especially with the AT-STs and the AT-ATs. Not only do the AT-STs make a great enemy, they make an imposing and powerful enemy to go up against, but they're a fun vehicle to drive and cause carnage in. As a matter of fact, maybe too much fun. I think the AT-ST was a bit OP. Needs a slight nerfing. Because once you got in that thing, and if you were good with that thing, you could easily get over 100 kills in a match. Now, I don't mind empowering vehicle gameplay, but this is a multiplayer game, so there has to be some balancing with the vehicles. The AT-ATs are balanced in the sense that they're super slow, super powerful, but super slow. There's some compensation there. The AT-STs were fast, powerful, had some long range with their weapons, and unless the rebel team had some explosives or some power-ups, they weren't going to take me down easy. So AT-STs need a bit rebalancing, because right now they give the Empire a huge edge, at least in the Walker Assault game mode. Ah yes, the game modes and the maps. So we had access to 3 different game modes in the beta, each one of those game modes having 1 map. So 3 game modes, 3 maps. We had Survival, the Survival Horde mode, which took place on Tatooine, which I really enjoyed. There is something so satisfying about mowing down waves of stormtroopers, or taking on an AT-ST by yourself or with a friend. It has its own unique feel and mechanics and features, but at the same time shares some similarities with, say, Call of Duty Zombies. I greatly enjoyed the survival mode, and honestly, I am really looking forward to playing more of it and playing the full 15 waves, because in the beta we only get access to 1 map, that's Tatooine, 1 difficulty, that's normal difficulty, there are 3 difficulties, normal, hard, and master, and only 6 waves, whereas in the full game there will be 15 waves. Survival mode was a lot of fun, the map of Tatooine was absolutely gorgeous and beautiful and packed with detail. And again, the game mode itself, Survival, a lot of fun. Can't wait for the full version, the complete version, in the full release. Really liked Survival. Then we have the multiplayer game mode, Drop Zone, where 2 teams of 8 must capture pods. Pods drop in specific locations on the map, and the Empires and Rebels must try and capture the pods from one another. First, you have to activate the pod, which takes some time, and then you have to wait a specific amount of time for the pod to be fully captured. And in that time, the other team can come and capture the pod. So there's this real fun tug-of-war struggle when it comes to defending and assaulting the pods, as every time you respawn, you go rushing towards that pod, looking to shoot any rebels or stormtroopers along the way. I also really like the map that takes place on the planet Sullust. Great colors, great detail, great lighting. Also, the level design was really nice on the map. It had some great scaling, some verticality, allowed you to get the drop on and sneak up on enemies, while having a plentiful amount of cover. Really like this map. And I also really like this game mode. There's some absolute fun to be had when both teams are trying to capture each other's pods. There's blaster fire and explosions all around you. Gets really fun. And finally, we have Walker Assault. We have the epic and iconic battle on Hoth. How Walker Assault works is that, well, the Empire team has 2 Imperial Walkers, AT-ATs. And the AT-ATs have to get past free checkpoints. Once they get past the free checkpoints, the Empire wins. So the Rebel team has to activate all these different uplink stations dotted across the map, and by activating them, they will call in Y-Wing bombers. And when Y-Wing bombers attack the AT-ATs, it makes them vulnerable to be damaged. So basically, each round, the Rebels have to be successful in getting those Y-Wing bombers, heading to the uplink, getting the Y-Wing bombers, making the AT-ATs vulnerable, and then unloading everything they have on them, while the Empire have to defend their AT-ATs and keep those uplinks safe. Now, Walker Assault is a 20v20 mode. That's right, 40 players in a single match. And I hope, as you guys have been able to see from the gameplay, it is friggin' epic! It is amazing! The visuals just... amazing. Blaster fire everywhere, explosions everywhere. Spaceship dogfighting going in the sky, X-Wings, A-Wings, and TIE Fighters shooting at each other and crash landing and exploding. And players with jetpacks flying all over the map. It is a sight to behold. It is visually spectacular. There are moments where I didn't play. I just stopped playing, like stopped getting involved in the match because I just had to stop and look at the gorgeous, amazing chaos that was going on around me. If there's one thing Star Wars Battlefront, this Star Wars Battlefront has accomplished, it's that its big epic battles are visual marvels, spectacles. However, while throughout this video I have been praising Star Wars Battlefront, there are some issues. Of course, there's the AT-ST issue that needs to be rebalanced immediately because it's way too OP on the Empire side. But there are also a lot of other imbalances, which is really shocking for me because this is DICE. They do nothing but work on multiplayer games, so you think they would be masters at balance. But nah, there's a lot of balancing issues in Star Wars Battlefront. For instance, the heavy blaster, the LMG of the game, way too OP. If you have a blaster rifle or blaster pistol and you go up against somebody with a heavy blaster, you're gonna lose, and vice versa. The rate of fire and the amount of damage the heavy blaster does, it makes it way too viable a weapon. Granted, it can't shoot long range, it's for shit at long ranges, but close range, mid-range, heavy blaster's always gonna win. That thing needs to be rebalanced. Either the damage of the weapon needs to go down or the fire rate needs to go down. Next up, I think everybody can agree on this, the biggest issue with Star Wars Battlefront, at least the multiplayer, because this is not something that happens in the survival mode, spawn points. Spawn points are awful. They're bad. They're really bad. These are some bad spawn points. Now, the partner spawn is okay, because while you're spawning on top of a partner, you expect to be lunged into danger depending on where your partner is. Oh yeah, should have mentioned that earlier. This Star Wars Battlefront shares the buddy system from the Battlefield games. So you have a buddy, a partner, a teammate who you can spawn on. However, the random normal spawns dotted across the maps, whether it be Drop Zone on Sullust or Walker Assault on Hoth, the spawn points, they're not good. They're not good. They do one of two things. Either they spawn you way too far away from where the actual fighting is, or they spawn you in the middle of the fighting to get killed instantly. So spawn points, that was a big issue in this beta. Hopefully, something that gets resolved before the final release of the game. And lastly, I want to talk about the hero characters. Now, I didn't get to play as Luke Skywalker, but I did get a chance to play as Darth Vader. And it was weird. While there were the same smooth controls and movement, melee attacks with your lightsaber were a bit odd. I don't know exactly what it is that was off about it, but I need to play as hero characters more, hopefully in the final game, the full game. Hopefully I'll be able to play as more hero characters and determine what was off about playing as Vader, because something was off. While his powers worked fine, lightsaber combat, I don't know. Something was rubbing me the wrong way, and I can't put my finger on what it was. However, overall, I really enjoyed the beta. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Whether it was mowing down stormtroopers in the single-player survival, or fighting amongst other players in epic shootouts. Epic Star Wars battles. While the game definitely has some balancing issues, and a few mechanics that could definitely use tweaking, what is most important is that I had fun with the game. I just had fun. I enjoyed myself. Even when I was sucking and doing horrible, I was still having fun, and that's the sign of a good game. The game looks great, it sounds great, it plays great. There are just a few nagging, annoying little issues here and there that kept me from 100% enjoying my time. But I still enjoyed myself overall. So, that was my review of the beta. You can look forward to the full review of Star Wars Battlefront when it comes out in November. Honestly, some of my reservations and worries about Star Wars Battlefront have been wiped away, but some new fears have occurred. However, I'm still looking forward to Star Wars Battlefront and seeing where this all ends up. This has been the Gamertron, this has been the Gamertron Show. If you liked the video in any way, shape, or form, please hit the like button. Please leave me a comment. Have you played the Star Wars Battlefront beta? Are you looking forward to the game? Are you not looking forward to the game? Let me know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comment section below. And finally, I am the Gamertron. I love video games, I love talking about video games. And if that's something that interests you, maybe consider supporting my channel by subscribing to me. Anyways, guys, this has been a video, and I will see you guys later.